Hello everybody, this is Monty with Flowers by the Bunch. Today we're going to make a sympathy arrangement in a vase, and we're going to use some fall tone flowers. We're going to use some mini callas, some pincushion protea, several different filler flowers, white hydrangeas, and bells of Ireland. Watch as we put this together. So we're starting out with a glass vase filled with fresh water, and we are going to add leatherleaf foliage to our vase. I'm going to take each stem, cut it at an angle, and tuck it right into my container. Now be careful when working with greenery. Try not to get the greenery below the water line. If at all possible, try to keep the, I'm going to start out with some longer stems. Try to keep the leaves out of the water. And the reason we do that is strictly because the greenery causes the growth of bacteria, aids in the growth of bacteria. And so we try hard to keep it out of that water. And sometimes while designing, it might fall below the water line. So what I will do is I will just pull all my flowers out at the end, clean out my water, change out my water, and then add all my flowers right back into my container. So I'm going to go all the way around with our greenery. Now I like to use leatherleaf as my base foliage. It's inexpensive, and it does a good job of gridding the container. And then I like to add a pretty greenery at the end. Next I'm going to come in with my line flower. So the line flower I chose are bells of Ireland, pretty green bells of Ireland. Now look at how the blooms come so far down the stem. I'm just going to take and remove the bottom two blooms off, and I'm going to pinch the foliage right out of the tip. Taking my knife, I'm going to cut that stem at an angle, and I am going to put my bell in the very center of the container. Take your second stem, and you're going to do exactly the same thing, but you want this one to kind of stair step down. I don't want it quite as tall as that one. There's our second stem. Now I like to use, when using line flower, I like to use at least 3. And the reason is you never want the 2 stems just to look like antennas from a bug. So always be careful and always try to use at least 3. Visually, it's just more pleasing. Next, I'm going to take some white hydrangeas. I'm going to remove the foliage, cut my stem at an angle, and I'm going to dip it in Quick Dip. Now Quick Dip is a hydrating solution that helps to keep the flower hydrated. And then I'm going to tuck one in the front there. I usually count to about 7 when dipping it in the Quick Dip. And then I tucked my second stem toward the back. 2. Okay. Next we're going to come in with some Solidago aster. So Solidago aster is just a yellow filler flower. And I like to use it as kind of to give us some height in the arrangement too. Strip off any of that foliage. And I'm just kind of going all the way around in my arrangement. Okay, Solidago. Next I'm going to come in with a little bit of wax flower. So I have this beautiful autumn wax flower. So it is tinted this orange color. So wax flower does not naturally come in autumn colors. Often it's going to come in pinks and purples and lavenders, whites. And so what they do is they will take those stems of wax and they will dye them. So they'll put dye into the large buckets, and they will tint those stems with dye, which is kind of fun. And it really does make a beautiful added autumn color. I think it's really pretty. Next, I'm going to come in with some blue thistle. Blue thistle often is called a weed, but I think it's such a pretty weed, so I love it. And I really love its texture and its color. It's just a really pretty flower. And I would consider it kind of a filler flower, the same as the wax and the solidago. And sometimes you kind of have to just adjust your flowers to make them do what you want them to. Okay, next we're going to come in with some Pincushion Protea. Protea are so fun, and they're really more of a tropical flower. And a pincushion, if you look at it close, it's kind of hard to see, but if you look at it close, it has little tiny, almost they look like pins that are just sticking out of this little flower. It's really a lot of fun, and they come in different colors. They come in an orange and a red. They come in a yellow, a bright yellow, but really fun tropical flower. This is one piece of leather sticking out. Oh, I just popped his head off. I'll have to get one more. And then next we're going to come in with pretty orange callas. So these are mini calla lilies. Calla lilies come in a standard and they come in a mini. Now, standard callas only come green and white. Mini callas are the ones that come with the color. So oranges and purples and pinks and yellows, all the colors, lots of pretty colors in the calla lilies, but the colorful ones are always the minis. And that's kind of interesting. So there's our pretty callas tucked in. And then we have some really pretty, this is called millet, which is a type of grass seed. So we're gonna tuck our millet in. Now, I love the season where we can get millet in because I think it's such a fun added texture to an arrangement. I love the light green. Now, it does come in several different varieties, and you can actually, like, we have different varieties of millet that grow here in Mississippi. Now, this is a California product. We actually got this millet out of California, but it's really, really a fun added texture to an arrangement. And it's one of those things where I would certainly call it a filler. It's just kind of fun and pretty. All right, and then to finish this arrangement, I am going to add one piece of Italian ruscus, and I'm going to kind of come out of the top up here. I just think it'll be a pretty whimsical type of greenery tucked in. Give us a little whimsy tucked in up at the top. And there is our very wildflower looking arrangement. It includes the white hydrangeas, and I have two of those, one in the front and one toward the back. It has, and actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna move this one that's in the back, because honestly, who's really gonna look at the back? Let me rearrange it just a minute. I think it's going to add more to the front of our arrangement if we add that second stem towards the front. I think that helped, honestly. Gave us a little more visual weight. And you'll find that sometimes it takes just rearranging a little bit to get it to where you want it. It's not always a really quick and easy thing to design. Sometimes it just takes a little thought, even for someone who's done it for 20 years. I think I feel better about that. So we included white hydrangeas, bells of Ireland, pincushion protea, orange calla lilies, orange waxflower, solidago thistle, millet, and a little bit of Italian ruscus and some leather leaf. Guys, thank you so much for being here this afternoon. If you have any questions about how we do things at Flowers by the Bunch, you can always ask. You can drop it right in the comments here, or you can send it to us over on Messenger. And we are so happy to answer your questions. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up and be sure to